He says he died 3 times. He's done some cross-country trips, and he's always a USMC Marine. You're part of the Marine Corps, Semper Fi. And it's funny because when we talked about getting together with you, they said he was a Marine. I go, once a Marine, always a Marine. T.Shane Johnson joins me this morning. How you doing, T.Shane?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on. And you're right. Once a Marine, always a Marine, no matter what. Never retired, never ex, never former.
We appreciate the Marine Corps, Camp Pendleton and all that.
Yes, sir.
We were raised with that. So it's good to have you on. So tell me a little bit about what you've been doing, because this is kind of the new normal for us. How have you been coping? Because you're an active guy. You like to get out and do things.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We briefly kind of had a quick conversation about that before we got started. And, for me, I'm just considering all the things I've been through in my life. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head, to be able to be quarantined in. There's a lot of people out there that don't even have that opportunity. Yeah. If I was going to be stuck with anybody, it'd be great to be stuck with my family. So I think in all the pieces of the puzzle of what I preach, it's kind of perfect for me. It's, being at home, having the opportunity to share time with my daughter that maybe normally I wouldn't have, and at the same time enjoy a home that I worked really hard for. So, I don't look at it like a bad thing. I actually think that this is a really big thing that we needed across the country to maybe put people in check a little bit, that there are things that are extremely important, and we're truly rich when we have all the things that we can't buy with money and sitting right at home.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm a kind of a count your blessings guy. And, this has been a good opportunity to bond and to maybe meditate and pray and do some things that perhaps we just don't spend enough time doing.
You got it.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your third book. You're an author, an award-winning author, Become the Leader You Are Meant to Be. Now, this is a time when a lot of us need to be leading in our homes, leading in our businesses, figuring out how we're going to survive all this. Tell me a little bit about what your book and what we'll learn there.
Yeah, leadership books I kind of feel sometimes are a dime a dozen. And I think that what happens is when someone writes one, they expect everybody to follow that one process. Leadership is different. In the military, it's not do as I do, is do as I say do. Execute orders accordingly. Sometimes in the corporate world, people like to servant leadership. They believe that, when you serve people, it's a better aspect of leadership. I think sometimes that's a little harder when you're in a military atmosphere to question. You have to execute and trust in your leaders. This book just kind of lays out the basic principles of each and how you can apply maybe pieces of each part of that leadership to your style. I don't think leadership's a one-size-fits-all. I think some people enjoy and appreciate that aggressive approach, and then I think other people need to be nurtured and cared for a little bit more and do ask questions, and you have to have a leader that has the ability to be able to answer those questions in the right way. For myself, I grew up in a generation and around a father where I love execution leadership. I love being able to know that I can trust my leader, and that the reason why they are the leader is because they are the one making the decisions and I don't have to. So I enjoy that. And then there's a little part for the parents. I think we all think that a leader is either a politician or a CEO or something. I believe that truly you're a leader the second you become a parent, because you have to make decisions that aren't always fun ones. We can't eat cake every day and not brush our teeth, so we have to stick to that. And at the same time, we have to selflessly do things that necessarily we may not always like. I like my daughter to spend a lot of time with me. So at nighttime when it's time to go to bed, it's always hard for me because I enjoy that time, but I know she needs her sleep. So that book kind of lays out little bits and pieces of those principles that I've had over my life, different types of leaders, and hopefully allow someone to kind of apply those basic things to their leadership style.
How important do you think it is to be a good listener when you're a leader?
Well, I think it's the key component to it all. Being a leader is, someone, I did an interview maybe about a week ago, and someone said, do you think leaders are born or made? And I said, being a leader is a constantly evolving thing. You can't say that the way I was a leader at 18 years old versus the way I am now at 40 is completely different. So I don't necessarily think that it's a one size fits all when it comes to that. I think leadership is something that just evolves with time, based on different decisions and things where you are in your life. When I was younger, maybe I was a little more reckless. As I get older, I got a lot more to lose. So my leadership style changes a little bit.
Yeah, weren't we all reckless at one point in our lives? Now, let's talk a little bit about, so the book is available obviously on Amazon. It's called Become the Leader You're Meant to Be. You're always challenging yourself to do crazy things that do some good for your veteran brothers and sisters. You are doing some sort of push-up challenge. Tell me about that.
Yes, sir. So each year I try to, I try to tell people, I think for the general public that, everyone's like, oh, that's so selfless. And I had this conversation briefly just before we started this interview with someone else. I think it was a lieutenant in the Air Force. She flies C-130s. And we were having a conversation. She says, hey, thank you so much for the stuff that you've done up in Panama City. And I said, I said, honestly, it's probably a little more selfless than it is, or a little more selfish than it is selfless. I said, when you get out of the military, especially the Marine Corps, there's just this super level of high that you have to chase. Some of us go in the wrong direction and it ends up being drugs and alcohol and other things that maybe aren't so good. For the other of us, I think it goes into business and fitness challenges and things. We're just trying to constantly chase that high to stay at that level. Because, the things that we've done at 18 years old is just such a high level of intensity. And then when you get to the civilian world, it is really low speed, low drag. So you try to keep up with it. So every year for the last 5 years, I've ran across America or carried a 100-pound pack or set a world record or done something and raised money for charities across the country while I run my companies and write the books and be a father and, do all those things. This year, we probably won't be able to run across the country, but we are attempting to break the world record for the most push-ups in 12 hours, which hasn't been broken since 1989 by the Guinness Book of World Records, World's Fittest Man, which is over 19,000 in 12 hours. So I've got to break 19,000 within 12 hours. We've been training for.
Well, T.Shane Johnson, we wish you well on that endeavor and with the book and with your continued businesses and with your family. Thanks so much for being with us on Carlos and Lisa. It's a pleasure speaking with you and getting to know you a little bit.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Yes, sir.